She did everything right to be able to get away from her abuser. The translation of that is she did everything right as far as the hoops that the legal system has set up for victims of domestic violence. She jumped through all of those hoops. And she died anyway. So at around 7:10 a.m. on November 8th, the Phoenix Police Department received a call about gunshots in an apartment building. When police arrived, they found 2 victims. One of them was Trystan Benallie, age 28, and the other was Martin Lewis, age 23. They were pronounced dead at the scene. Police say that Trystan's ex-boyfriend, Stephen Love Mason, who she had a protection order against, showed up at her apartment, asked a neighbor to knock on the door for him. She answered the door, he forced his way in, and then they could hear multiple gunshots after he slammed the door shut. Trystan was a mother of 5. One of her children, who was reported to be 5 days away from turning 3 years old, was there in the apartment when the shooting happened and was left unharmed. If you guys have been watching my stuff for a little while, you know sometimes they leave the kids alone. A lot of times they murder the kids too. A witness said that they saw Love Mason standing outside of her door trying to listen inside. And then they also reported that they heard the gunshots when they happened.
We spoke to a neighbor who tells ABC 15 off camera that Love Mason actually asked them for a phone, a ride, and said if he didn't get out of there, he was going to kill 2 people.
More than one witness saw Love Mason running away from the apartment after the gunshots were heard. Police ended up tracking him down to his mother's house later on in the day, and he was taken into custody. He's been charged with first-degree murder, burglary, possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, failure to comply with a court order, and aggravated domestic violence. And his bond has been set at $2 million.
She's like my best friend.
Sierra Gamble in heart-wrenching pain. She says her younger sister tried to get away from her ex.
Trystan's sister said that Trystan had dated Love Mason for a couple of months and then she tried to get away from him. Apparently that trying to get away from him included breaking up with him, getting a protection order against him, calling the police when he violated the protection order on more than one occasion, and making plans to move.
Even a piece of paper won't do nothing. It will not protect you.
But one of the articles that I read for this video said that he murdered them.
Even with an order of protection against him.
Like, clearly we have a lot of work to do about educating the public about protection orders. If the judge and the attorneys will actually consider protection orders and actually consider this perpetrator's history when dealing with current legal actions, which they should, because it's a testament to who the person is, then it is helpful legally to have a protection order in place. It creates a legal paper trail, so to speak. Sometimes they can be helpful for the victim if the perpetrator will honor it, but that depends entirely upon the perpetrator themselves. Because some perpetrators, if you get a protection order, that will just enrage them and it will put the victim at more risk, not less. So you really have to know your perpetrator, and even then it's still a gamble. But definitely, protection order, if you choose to do that, should not be your only line of defense. Because if you are expecting this legal document saying to stay away from you to protect you, in and of itself, you're setting yourself up to be hurt or killed. With the right perpetrator and the right victim in the right situation, and it can be a part of a safety plan. But it cannot be the only part of the safety plan.
Restraining orders aren't bulletproof.
I didn't read anything at all in this case about her taking any self-protection type of classes, about her having any kind of a weapon, about her having any kind of security. She apparently was looking for a place to move, but hadn't moved. No victim blaming here. Just another tip. She was already dating somebody else. If you watched last week's video, I did an entire video about them trying to control through killing the next person that you date. And sometimes you die too, sometimes it's just the next person that you date. It can be really enticing to think about dating somebody else because they can make you forget for a little while the situation that you're in, and maybe they can make you feel kind of safe when you feel really unsafe otherwise. But I would really advise against it when you're in the middle of this stuff. She just filed a protection order within the last couple of months, and then he violated it more than once. That's not the time to be dating somebody. You are pulling them into a situation where they're very likely to get hurt or killed, as well as you and your children and anybody else who happens to be around at the time. This guy shot in an apartment building. All of the people there were at risk. So if I understand right, she had another place to live, like another place to move into, and just hadn't moved yet. Gamble said she could have been out of that apartment and this never would have happened. And there's some really good advice there that I want to make sure that you understand. If you are in danger by a romantic partner, by an ex, by somebody who wants to be your romantic partner, the best thing for you to do in that time period is to be unavailable for them to get to. That's why a lot of domestic violence shelters are hidden in undisclosed locations. Now, if you don't want to go to a shelter, you can go stay with somebody that you know. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, you want it to be somebody that you know that they don't know. And somebody preferably that they don't even know of. The point is, go somewhere where they don't know where you are.
He hunted her. She didn't deserve this, as well as her friend.
And here's what we know about the suspect, Stephen Love Mason. He has a lengthy criminal history, including multiple felony convictions, and prosecutors say domestic violence incidents between him and his ex-girlfriend are well documented.
In 2019, he was charged with strangling a woman and leaving visible injuries, and I believe that that was a domestic partner also. In September of this year, Trystan reported to police that he broke her window. October 10th, she told the police that he broke into her home and pointed a gun at someone she was with, when a report said a neighbor, and he was a convicted felon at that point, and it's illegal for him to be in possession of a gun. On October 12th, a protection order was actually served, so I imagine that they created the protection order after the incident on October 10th. Something else you need to know about protection orders is that they're not in effect until they get served. So they had to find him and be able to serve him before that was in effect. According to police records, he was not allowed to go to his ex-girlfriend's apartment. That was specifically stated in the protection order. Sometimes they will do that and sometimes they won't do that. Multiple incidents of domestic violence had been reported between him and Trystan, as stated in the probable cause report. In court, prosecutors said that he had violated her protection order a couple of days after it was issued. Police were called, charges were never filed. On October 16th, dispatchers received a 911 call from her saying that she was about to be assaulted, and that call for help was ended when he allegedly took the phone from her and broke it. According to police, he pushed her to the ground while she was holding one of her children and her head slammed into the concrete. He fled that day but was arrested by police later, and he resisted arrest. He was booked into jail on charges of 3 felonies and 5 misdemeanors, including aggravated domestic violence. That should have been plenty. As in the case of the guy that ran people down in the parade recently in Wisconsin, this guy's criminal history is substantial, and he also was released from jail when he should not have been. It is my understanding that the courts have some type of a system where they're supposed to be able to risk assess for whether or not somebody is dangerous to the community before letting them out. Holy cow! I realize this happened before the parade, but still, at what point are we going to take this seriously? So the police are the first line of defense. They can, and in this case they did, recommend charges, but it's up to the county or state prosecutors to decide whether or not they're going to take a case to trial. So 7 days after his arrest, Love Mason was released from Maricopa County Jail. Remember, he was arrested for 3 felonies and 5 misdemeanor counts. Instead, the county attorney's office referred the case to the city of Phoenix, which could file misdemeanor charges. And less than 2 weeks later, Trystan and Martin were dead. Apparently, ABC 15 reached out to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, and they reiterated that the legal system does not allow people to be held in custody on prior convictions. Prior convictions should at the least have merit for the current crimes. What happened to 3 strikes and you're out? What happened to this person is a habitual criminal? If this person has been arrested for any kind of domestic violence related stuff and they have a history of domestic violence related stuff, you are endangering, if not sentencing to death, the female involved in this guy being in jail now. It's just that simple. Everybody has a breaking point. This person hasn't broke up until this point necessarily, but there is a line, a path. It's gonna happen. And that's on you. Because you should know your job. You should be able to do risk assessment. Here's the statement that they released. The facts in this case were reviewed by this office and a decision was made that the charges be forwarded to the city court to be prosecuted as misdemeanors. As such, the release conditions set by the judge in this matter were lifted. The defendant was released from custody on October 29, 2021. Prosecutors in this office make very tough decisions every day. It is always our hope that these decisions will protect victims and keep our community safe, and the loss of life in this situation is truly tragic. From the perspective of somebody who has been in these situations, and holy frick does that piss me off. You can hope that the decisions that you make will protect victims and the community all day long, but if you do not educate yourself on what is going to keep them safe, your hope is worthless, and it is endangering people. A defense attorney named Jack Litwick weighed in on it. He said, "I think it's a breakdown of the way that the system is supposed to work. Maricopa County's prosecutors should have recognized that Love Mason posed a serious risk. Quote, I think she could still be alive today had they at least just filed and moved forward with the preliminary hearing." End quote. I think he may be right.
Arizona State Representative Jennifer Germain also weighing in a statement saying in part, quote, "What happened to Miss Benallie is absolutely tragic. She did everything right to get away from her abuser, and the entire criminal justice system failed her. Arizona and Maricopa County must do better for victims of domestic violence."
A preliminary hearing was scheduled for November 18th at 10:30 a.m. At the first court appearance, prosecutors said that 13 shell casings were found at the scene, and that after the shooting, Mason was captured on surveillance video taking the light rail to his mother's apartment where he was later arrested. He shot 13 times for 2 people. It's an awful lot of overkill. Police records also show that he had prior domestic abuse history and had violated protection orders in the past. That's another thing. If you have any indication whatsoever that your perpetrator has violated protection orders in the past, whether they're yours or somebody else's, they're not going to respect yours now. Do not expect them to respect yours now. Expect them to violate and plan accordingly. At the preliminary hearing on November 18th, Love Mason said, well, I'll let you listen to him.
A lot of this stuff is not true. I definitely didn't murder the person that I did love.
If we look at his history and the timeline that is evident there, even without the witness testimony, it's pretty obvious that he did murder her. What I want women to understand is the only thing that is different about his history now versus before he killed them is the murders. All of the rest of it was still there. And we as women need to get better about recognizing that and staying the heck away from it. When they do tell us stuff, we need to stop justifying it or rationalizing it. I've definitely done that. Oh, well, they assaulted their previous, but they're not going to assault me. They're so nice to me. Like, clearly she had issues and caused that. No. Walk away. Maybe run away. Maybe ninja away because you need them to not find you when you go away. But we need to get better at recognizing this stuff and avoiding it if at all possible. Because clearly we can't count on the court system to protect us. And the thing is that I know that she was aware that she was in danger. That's why she broke up with him. That's why she filed the protection order, and that's why she was looking at moving, and why she called it in every time. She was aware. People, by and large, don't care until they're in those situations. And we really need to get them to understand, to know the red flags, so that when they see the first signs of it, they can get out before they're to the point where they know they're in danger, because they are in danger by that point. If you would, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Both of those things tell YouTube that this is good information, important information, and it will push it out to more people so that more people can learn these things. And then share it with women that you know. Please help me here, because I can't do it by myself. Listen to Tiana. She wishes that she could give her advice to be able to get her away from this guy before it was too late. Share these videos. Give the advice before it's too late.
Trystan Benallie wasn't just a mother, a sister, and a friend. She was also an Indigenous woman, and as is customary in Indigenous culture today, we wear red to honor her spirit and also bring awareness to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
28-year-old Trystan Benallie was a mother of 5. Lynn said,
She was a beautiful soul, and her heart was big.
Her cousin Savannah Smith said that she will be greatly missed by family. You would never see her sad. Like, you would always see her laughing. She would joke, laugh, everything. She was the best mother to her kids. We love you so much. We're going to miss you. Gamble is also devastated for the man her sister had just started dating.
He didn't deserve this. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Martin's family said that he loved making music and he loved making people laugh. He had such a good heart, and he was taken from us due to domestic gun violence, they said in their GoFundMe. Both families have set up GoFundMe pages to pay for funeral expenses. I will link both of those in the description. Lynn says that any money that's left over from Trystan's GoFundMe will go towards supporting her children.
And it's eating me inside. I'm still shocked. I feel like she's really not gone. Like, she's still here with us.
Until I see you again, stay safe.